Hello, dear friends. It's important to be informed, especially in these uncertain times. Opinion piece, instability, opacity, polycrisis, volatility, tribulation, debt crisis, banking crisis, economic bubble, technology bubble. It's time to expose evil. Everything is hidden now. A journey full of obstacles. Matrix becomes unstable. Let's start. Instability is the lack of stability. Stable is something that remains without danger of changing, falling, or disappearing. Synonyms of instability are insecurity, inconsistency, fluctuation, oscillation, back and forth, vacillation, and imbalance. This is like walking a tightrope. The instability of global change reflects a complex environment where the global economy faces challenges such as economic fragmentation, high levels of inflation, and the need for coordinated policies to maintain stability and promote growth. This instability is reflected in an economic scenario marked by significant challenges and changes. The world economy faces a sense of unstable equilibrium, with the accumulation of diverse shocks that distort its functioning, what has been described as a polycrisis by historian Adam Tooze. Global economic weakness, high inflation, and growing economic fragmentation are key challenges that demand strong action at the international level, as highlighted in reports from the IMF and the World Bank. Developed countries show a weakening, especially in sectors such as industry. Additionally, factors such as government stability, debt, real income, and inflation influence global currency exchange rates. The political and economic stability of a country directly impacts exchange rates as it generates confidence or uncertainty in investors. Definition Definitions in plural. An economic crisis is a period in which an economy faces difficulties for a long time. That is, it would be an intermediate point between a recession and an economic depression. The economic cycle is a series of phases that the economy goes through, which happen in order until reaching the final phase in which a new cycle begins. A banking crisis is the situation in which one or several banks in a country suffer serious liquidity problems or insolvency at the same time. A debt crisis is an economic deficit that some countries are experiencing due to financing problems related to difficulties in paying their commitments. Are we in a technological bubble like the one that burst in 2000? This is the stock market, led by technological stocks, doomed to a crash like the one experienced in the year 2000? An economic bubble is a situation in which there is a prolonged and unchecked rise in prices, separating them from their value due to speculation. It usually begins with euphoria and ends with a loss of confidence. The participants in a bubble often discredit those who try to uncover it and call them party poopers. Signs. Warning signs of an alleged imminent financial crash that would begin in New York. A 5% drop in the stock market could trigger a rout. The trend of recent months is clearly bullish. How long will it last? Jerome Powell reveals a hidden reason for high inflation. The cost of auto insurance is increasing due to more expensive parts. This prevents reducing the interest rate to 2%. Joe Biden proposes new crypto regulation, including a mining tax and a wash sale law. Ariel launches lapidary prophecies about the end of the financial system. We wake up on the eve of a great shock in the banking sector that will affect the markets and the economy. Fiat money will no longer be lent. According to the Storm Rider, as the collapse of tax-side funds continues, the monetary collapse of the EU accelerates and dog-eat-dog scenarios break out, and some leaders plan to expose a system of corruption connected to global banks, as we enter the global tribulation of exposure. A Georgia judge throws out 6 charges in Donald Trump's indictment. Has an agreement been reached with interested parties to reinstate Trump? Asked Mike Adams. Does this mean we would end with the same things? According to Mike Adams, there is an orbital electromagnetic pulse weapon that appears to be capable of destroying a power grid without warning. The vampire dance is ending. Putin criticized the elite's habit of filling their pockets with money and stated that that era is ending. Exposure. There are 2 phases of exposure within the energy of ascension, the lunar phase and the solar phase. We are currently in a lunar phase where everything is hidden and in the shadows. However, we will soon find ourselves in the solar phase, where everything will become bright and clear according to Melchizedek through Victoria Kocherin. The perception that certain aspects of the instability of global change are hidden may be due to the inherent opacity of economic and political systems. Factors such as the influence of particular interests, the lack of transparency in political and economic decisions, as well as the complexity of the interconnections between different actors and events, can contribute to a feeling of lack of clarity. Get ready because many secrets will be revealed like never before. It will be a journey full of obstacles. Stand firm, for all those who are upright will shine, and they will help those around them see the truth. Do not allow anything to shake your resolve or your purpose. Do not allow it to be weakened by the opposition of others. It's time to expose the wicked for what they are. The rejection they give to protect themselves will be designed to confuse and muddy the waters, just as octopuses and squids do. Obstacles. The energy of the human world are always in flux between darkness and light. It doesn't help that the constant interference of dark forces, as well as the magnetic pull of the density of duality, keep people afraid and disconnected from their spiritual purpose. Has the veil of illusion really been lifted, as was the promise of ascension? For many, it has not been lifted. For others, it is fading, but your own truth often remains cloudy due to the judgments of other people of yourself and your own doubts and shadows from the past that have left unresolved traumas. There is no denying that living on Earth has become expensive, unpredictable, and dangerous. As the soul of each human being decides whether to live out his contract or not, the web of deception that is the dark matrix is becoming unstable. It's only a matter of time before it breaks down and becomes your worst enemy. The weather is another force that is becoming less predictable around the world. Unseasonable rains and floods, storms, fires, and droughts have devastated communities, sometimes more than once a year. There are many factors that contribute to weather instability, and the volatility of the collective human consciousness is a big culprit. Economy. Economists expect a decline later this year as inflation loses control. The Bitcoin boom is driven by concerns about the dollar and unsustainable debt. The recovery in demand for natural gas could cause new growth in prices in Europe. Handing over sized Russian assets to Kiev could bankrupt the global financial system. Europe. European stocks rise for 7 weeks in a row. France surpasses Russia as the world's second largest arms exporter. Denmark wants to introduce compulsory military service for women. Air quality improves in Europe, but still does not meet guidelines. Catalonia calls early elections in the midst of the struggle for the hegemony of separatism. The European Parliament protects freedom of the press. The media law will force governments to better protect journalists against external interference and to limit the use of spyware. Media outlets will have to disclose information about their ownership, financing, and state advertising. Americas. A powerful storm threatens the central US with snow, tornadoes, and fire. Revealing video of empty restaurants and shops in Buenos Aires. Brazil and Argentina establish an open skies policy to make their air market more flexible. The Russian company Eurochem inaugurates a fertilizer production plant in Brazil. An institute in Brazil produced poison to kill opponents of the Chilean dictatorship. The Peruvian prosecutor's office seizes more than 270 weapons against illegal trafficking to Ecuador. From farm to table, circular economy strategy of the Vista Hermosa farm in Cuba. Kenya suspends the deployment of 1,000 police officers in Haiti after the resignation of the prime minister. The US could impose in Haiti a government aligned with its interests. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.